What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, and this is my album of the week for September 13th through September 19th, 2024. And today's album is Dame Aria. Dame Aria, band out of Barcelona, so I'm assuming it's not Dame Area. Dame Aria, Dame Aria, Dame Aria. A duo, female and a male. She definitely sings. She definitely screams. There's definitely a lot of energy in her vocal performances. Never heard of this band before, but they were on Pitchfork's list of 10 albums I should check out this week. I checked it out. Usually most of their stuff is a little too indie, lo-fi, singer-songwriter rock for me, and not really that. Doesn't ever catch my interest as much, but this one was a gem. This is probably one of the most exhilarating releases I have heard in a long time. Had to read about them a little bit just to kind of know their history. They're known for performing live in Spain. They never perform the same set twice. There's obviously improv elements. You can hear that in the album. But what they are is, it's the duo. Live, they have an extra percussionist. They are very much sort of an industrial, tribal wave, synth noise, techno rock, post-punk, just that kind of industrial. I mean, industrial is probably the thread that runs through them all, but there's a lot of other like sort of genres, there are subgenres they're pulling from. Kind of reminds me of Suicide, the band from the 70s, meets M.I.A., the artist from the 2000s, meets Nine Inch Nails, but on a very more minimalist level, meets Stereolab, only Stereolab took way too much LSD, and the LSD is like dirty as F, and they're not having a good time. Yeah, it's some pretty intense music. But it is exhilaratingly fun. 8 tracks on this album. I don't think it's their debut. I think it's their third. I guess this is the album, according to what I've read, that captures their live shows better than any other album. There is a very raw live energy to this that works very well. And over the course of the 8 tracks, I think part of the so many different subgenres is because they're kind of flirting with, each track is providing a different sort of vibe. The only instruments that aren't electronic, synthetic, are live drums, and they're mostly like floor toms or things. They're not a lot of cymbals. We're not sitting at a kit and playing drums. It's just a lot of like the tribal wave type energy. Is pretty much the only sort of actual acoustic instruments that are there. Everything else, a lot of the digital, or not the digital stuff, a lot of the synth stuff and electronic stuff does seem analog. It does have a rawness to it. It's not clean. It's not pristine. But this is absolutely amazing. Amazing stuff. Opens up with a track called, I don't know these names. So these names are different than, this order is different than the order I listened to and wrote down. So now I got to find the other track listing that I thought I had. So wait, let's find. Right, I found the track listing, the one I listened to. The name of the album, which I don't think I mentioned, is Todo, Verdad, Sobre, Maria. All of the truth about the band. First track, Si no es hoy cuando es. Just a relentless pounding. Some really brash electronic sounds, very industrial dance pulse going throughout it. The lead singer is singing, yelling, just emoting in Spanish. Over the course of the album, her voice is pretty much like an instrument. I think if it was in English, I probably wouldn't know what she was saying most of the time, just because of the raw energy. She's not trying to sing beautifully. She's trying to express some pretty intense emotions throughout the entire thing. I'm able to pick up a Spanish word here or there. Took 4 years in Spanish, live in South Texas. But whatever she's singing about hasn't mattered to me. I've loved this album regardless. And her intensity, her energy, and her vocals are without a doubt a positive. Very haunting, just a very haunting, relentless opener. The second track, Vengo dal Aldilia, some real drums, almost have like a drum circle vibe, like a Grateful Dead drums in like maybe the 70s, late 70s era. with like a very ritualistic, very tribal. There's some like chanting type energy in there. You just kind of get swoops of noise that come throughout the whole thing. Kind of a haunting, a little more haunting song, more of a late night, midnight in the middle of nowhere type, pounding the drums type song. Sempre cambiare, cambiare, sempre. So I'm gonna bang. I'm mangling these, and I'm sorry. Sempre cambiare. Um, Very analog, sounds very coarse and very analog. These are not clean digital sounds. We got some really early 80s sort of new wave synth pop vibe going through here, but like the bands that weren't the pop radio friendly things, but like the underground or before it became a little more polished. A lot of screaming, some like nice series of like musical peaks throughout this song. Urlo de Guerra, industrial art rock. This almost has a bounce to it in like an industrial dance way, which is pretty cool. Short little 3-minute song. Storecia. Almost like this atmospheric industrial landscape that kind of takes over for a while. This one's a little slower. There's a little more room sort of for the instruments to like breathe before like the heavy beat eventually drops. It definitely has more of a slower plodding intensity to it and not more like a hyper dance beat, but it's still pretty intense. And then there's at almost 5 minutes, it's one of the longer songs, and there's this little like sweet little coda tacked on at the end, which is pretty cool. Tu me hiciste creer, spacey synth prog sounds to open, like almost Pink Floydish would be the closest comparison. Some acoustic drums, like some like floor tom action. The volume starts to rise. We get a nice change of rhythms about halfway through. And then the vocals come in just screaming and ultra passionate, really intense. Nice playful middle section that almost has like some machine noises. This is the longest song of the album. It's 6 minutes, and they use those extra minutes well to kind of flesh out the song. So a lot of machine noises that sound like really small drills are attacking you, like little handheld drills. There's kind of some warm synths at the end that kind of just wash over everything, like, hey, everybody just calm down. It's like they put this blanket of synths over everybody, and that just brings the energy down at the end. Pretty nice construction of the song. Devoción, very minimalist, sort of electronic drum machine intro. Then we go into like just a straight up industrial dance groove. Esto es nuestro ruido. This is by far the calmest of them. Low key, still slow burning. There's still like a level of like sparse industrial intensity to this. And then we go into this very M.I.A. sort of industrial kind of world beat dance vibe, a little looser, a little jammier. Kind of, it does feel like there's improv here, like that element of how this captured what they sounded like live. I think in this song number 8, that's very, I think I said there's 8 songs, there's actually 9. I was looking at the wrong set list earlier, track list. Vocal performance on this is fantastic, really high energy, nice dynamics throughout. And then the last song, Si no eres nada puedes ser todo, very moody, calmer, still menacing. There's still like very industrial percussion going on. But by comparison to the rest of the album, the last 2.5 minutes is almost serving us up a ballad in a cool little way. Yeah, it's like 40 plus minutes of absolutely fantastic industrial tinged, drum machine tinged, electronic tinged, with tribal wave elements. A lot of really forceful, emotive screaming / singing. This is an exhilarating listen, man. If you want something that's just fresh and vibrant, and apparently this is what they do live, and now they've captured it really well on an album, this is a must hear. Like at this point, this is easy a top 10 album for me by the end of the year. Maybe a top 5. At this point, it's a top 5. I doubt I'm going to get bored of it. There's just the layers of like just electronic stuff that is layered. Is just every time I listen to it, there's a new rhythm I'm sort of like latching onto or hooking into. Fantastic listen. Highly recommend it. My album of the week. The other album of the week I have is that Frank Zappa thing that was released, but I have whole separate videos of that I'm dropping. So yeah, I wanted to do something that wasn't Zappa. This is easily it. I highly recommend it. It is out there on Bandcamp. Support the band. But yeah, check this out, man. Do yourself a favor. Check this out. Peace. Talk to you later.